today. We start today's economic lesson. We will cover 1.3 in the syllabus, but we will look at the B part, which is only about division of labor. Okay, if you remember from our previous lessons that I've said a secret to success is that you recall information that is discussed during your previous lessons. And an example of this is you can now test the students and ask, define specialization or define division of labor, that you know they know what you are going to discuss today and that they understand what division of labor is. Okay, we will now look at examples, but before we do that, here's a YouTube video that you can watch. It's always good to get more knowledge on topics from other books or newspapers or magazines or the internet. Okay, we will look at what is good, what is advantages of division of labor, and then we will look at what is disadvantages of division of labor. Now, the advantages of division of labor is that you don't spend so much time on producing a product. It is very time efficient. What that means is that I don't have to move around from one station to another station and to another one. So that helped me. I stay at one place or I sit at one place and I do the job. So I put the product in a packet, seal it, hand it over to the next person. Okay, another advantage is that you share cost in this production process if you use division of labor. So for example, I have done the whole job myself. That means that I need every tool needed to do this. But now, if I only do a certain section or unit of this production process, I only need one tool or the tool for that unit. So the business is not going to buy a duplication of tools. They just buy a tool or tools needed for each section. And by that, they save a lot. Then the third point is that if you can produce it at a lower cost, you can also sell it at a lower cost. And we all know that if you sell goods of good quality at a lower cost, the people will demand rather your products than the expensive product. Okay, another problem is that the output increase because the workers that are responsible for a specific unit become experts in what they are doing. They are so good because they do it over and over and over. Okay, then another important point that you can look at, it is, in a sense, easy to get a job. Because you can say, I am specialized in cutting diamonds. So I don't do the whole process of producing, say, the jewelry. I can only do that specific part. So they say it's easier to find a job if more for, which is more for a specific interest. Okay, and firms that use division of labor can be more efficient, their output can be more, and if their output is more, then what's happening? If a firm's output increase, then they will achieve higher profits, and then a part of this profits they can give in higher salaries to their workers, or these workers can share in the profits at the end of the financial year. So that is also a very good incentive for workers to increase their efficiency. But if workers can earn a higher salary because they are earning more, higher income or a share of the profit, then you understand that their standard of living increase. But it's not only this, it is also their family that will experience a higher standard of living. The last point, which is the advantage, is If you build a machine for one unit of a production process, it's much easier to design such a machine and build such a machine, because that machine is just doing one task. If you must build a machine to do the complete production process of a product, then it will be a very expensive machine and very complicated to do that. So you can see in this, you will have at least 8 advantages that you can offer if you get a question like this. Now, on the other hand, they can ask you also what is bad about division of labor? What is a disadvantage of division of labor? They say if people do division, or if they are responsible for one unit of a production process or involved in division of labor, they, as we have said, redo the same job over and over, and they may get bored. If they get bored, you would know that ones get very tired, and then you lose concentration, and that may affect the quality of the product that you produce. Another disadvantage is if you lost a job, it is sometimes in a country like Namibia difficult to get that specific job that you are trained for, because perhaps there's just a need for 2 people that do that job in Namibia, and now you lost your job, and to get a job like that, it's not available in the country. So you have to look, or you will be forced to look outside the country then, if you want to continue doing this job. If you don't want to, then you must retrain yourself in another skill, and that is very costly and time consuming. Okay, the last point is that a worker will get ill, and then one part or one unit of the production process is not manned. So that means the production process will stop for that day or the week, or you must replace this person with a temp, and a temp can't produce as fast as your worker that is now ill. So in that case, it will slow down your production process. If you have a machine, or you use a machine in the production process, and the machine man, one of the units, and this machine broke down, then it requires that you get somebody that repair it, and that may take a few hours, and the whole production process will stop or slow down at a very low speed if that happens. A very important point is that if you use division of labor as a form of specialization, all your products that you will produce must look exactly the same. So if we think of companies in our country that can use division of labor, then we think about a company like Namibia Beverages that produce Coca-Cola. All the bottles look exactly the same. All the cool drink that they put in the bottles is also exactly the same. So a company like that can easily introduce division of labor. So that is a very important point that you must remember. If a country is not producing exactly the same product with every production process, then they can't implement division of labor. So a negative point is a lack of variety. Okay, I have for you an example of division of labor. You can, we ask you to produce 120 sandwiches. You decide to use the division of labor in this production process. The first person will take, or only one person, will take 2 slices of bread from a bag, open it, and then hand it over to the next person. So that is my first unit of production. The next person will butter the bread and hand it over to the third person. The third person will put a meat inside, close it like a salami or a polony, and they close it and hand it over to the fourth person. The fourth person will put it in a bag and seal it, and then hand it to the fifth person, and they put it in a box and count it. So you see, for us, or for you as a class, to produce 120 sandwiches that look exactly the same, you can divide this in a production process. Now, if you come in a practical, you can actually try this and see if it's really increasing the efficiency. If you produce 5 people at one product, or if you produce 1 person to do all 120 or 1 sandwich. Okay, here's classwork for you. Choose your own product, not my sandwiches, your own product that you want to produce, like for example, tracksuits or a school jacket or whatever it might be that you want to produce, and then divide your product, the production of your product, into different tasks. For that, you can also mention to me if you, say for example, want to do toasted sandwiches, then you will at one point have a toaster available, and that is a machine that man 1 unit. So you can also mention, if you don't use my process, I have used people in each and every of the 5 tasks or units of the production process. But if you want to do it and you have machines in between, you can mention it. But try for 5 different units of production. This count 10 marks a classwork like that. Okay, and then we will look at the limitations of division of labor. As I've already said, you can't implement it if you have a jewelry, that each and every product that you design look different. Then you can't implement it. You can also not implement it if your market is not big enough. That means the people that demand your product. So that is already 2 problems. So the third problem is that you must have labor available that you know that can do the specific task, or they must be available that you can train them to do the specific task. So labor can be a problem. And then they also said that money, and how you can use money also, and the availability of money can sometimes prevent you of implementing division of labor. So it is very important that you realize that. Also, to implement division of labor in a production line, remember you need lots of capital to do so, because perhaps it is now, you need to buy now an extra machine to do that. The last point is that transport available to get all these products that you produce to your clients, that is a need. You can't produce all these products if you don't know how you will get it to your clients. Okay, we just look at a homework that you can do. You can ask the meaning of division of labor. You can, for 3 marks, discuss why a jewelry shop that produce exclusive jewelry pieces can't implement division of labor in their production process, and that you can do for 6 marks. Exam question or test questions can also be, what is the benefits that a division of labor will bring for a business like KFC if they produce chicken burgers and they implement division of labor? That you can do for 6 marks. Look at the advantages for division of labor for KFC. And then number B, help the management of KFC to decide his production, how he will divide his production process if he must produce burgers. And that can also bring 8 marks for you. Okay, at this point, we have finished with 1.3. 1.3 in the lesson number 8, we have done specialization, different forms of specialization. We have done exercises on that. and we have look at the definition of one form of specialization, which is division of labor. Okay, and in the second lesson, lesson number 9, we have done the B part of 1.3, and we specifically looked at the advantages when you implement division of labor and the disadvantages. And lastly, we have looked at limitations. When will it not be possible for you to do division of labor? You can do a group work exercise where you test your efficiency of the production process. You can do the example of sandwiches and let one person produce the 2 sandwiches, and then you put the 5 people in the production process and you let them produce 10 sandwiches. And in each time, you calculate the time that the one person took to produce 2 sandwiches and the 5 people used to produce 10 sandwiches. And you divide it, that you see what is the time per one sandwich spent when one person produces it, and the time for one sandwich spent when 5 people produce it.